And our next guest, you've probably seen her in a couple places. One, she has a company that's distributed through Tom's Marketplace, so you might see her picture in some of the Tom stores, which is really awesome, and she's going to talk about this company. And two, she is on CW's hit series Jane the Virgin. So everybody give her a warm round of applause for Azie Tesfai. Where are you at, Azie? How are you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Do you get out very often?
No.
No.
Is this? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Can you guys hear her?
Hello.
Let's keep checking it. We'll turn it up a little bit.
Okay.
Check it again.
Hello.
More.
Hi.
Try this one.
Hello. Yeah, that's it. That's the
Okay.
one.
I can power through. My voice is low too. So, one of the reasons I had Azie up here is it's a similar story, similar to what Travis is doing. Where she's succeeding in her career. She's an actress, and also she has a company that's based. It's a charity-based organization. It's really awesome. And you've done similar. You've been acting for about 10 years, and you've gone through the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Getting good gigs and now you've got a hit show. And so what was that experience like for you, like going through that and succeeding?
I grew up in Los Angeles, so I wanted nothing to do with the entertainment industry at all. And I thought I was going to be a lawyer because that's what children of immigrants do. They become lawyers or doctors and engineers. So I went to Berkeley and I thought, I'm going to be a lawyer. This is what I'm going to do. And then I interned with an entertainment law firm and realized that I hate to work in an office and this is not what I want to do. And so through a series of events, I ended up auditioning for a show my senior year of college, and I got it. Of course, it's easy when you start off. And my mom said, there's no way that you're going to drop out of school 3 months from graduating for a television show. So I didn't. I passed, but it was enough to get me manager. And then my next first audition I did get, and it was this television series in San Diego, and it was amazing. And then it ended, and then life became difficult. So I had an easy start and like a good 2 years and then a hard 8 years.
Nice.
Yeah. But it's okay, it paid off. It's good, it's worth it.
So, but you continued to go after it. So even though it was
I
difficult.
always say that acting is like a really cute abusive boyfriend where you like he's really good to you right when you want to leave him. Like he gets you like a really nice gift or like, writes you a poem or something really beautiful like that. And you're like, oh, this job is so good. It's only like for a week, but I'm going to stay and do it. And then right when you've lost all self-respect and hope and are crying, it gets you back. So that's basically been, that's my life. Yeah.
A lot of girls were laughing.
Yeah.
What's wrong with our society?
It's true.
So pushing through and sticking to it, then do you have any recommendations or advice for people out there that are at that last 5% that are about to push through, but it's getting really difficult?
I think for me, and I know we're going to get into my company in a little bit, but I had a big shift where I focused on my purpose. And I was more mindful and intentional with everything that I did, not just with acting or auditions or roles, but with all aspects of my life. And that was a big shift. And I think if you approach everything you do and make sure it's aligned with whatever greater purpose you want to leave in your life, that helps a lot. That helps you get over that 5%, because no matter what issues you come to, there's a bigger picture and there's a bigger goal. So you keep your eye up and you don't focus on like the trips that are in front of you as much.
That's great advice. And it's funny, I'm sitting here reflecting on that, and I feel the same way. Like recently, I've been more focused on service, and I've seen other things accelerate in my life that when I was concentrating on them, it just got really stressful.
Yeah.
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 So you touched base on your company. So I don't know if anybody knows about her company or not. I'm sure some people do. It's a charity-based organization. It's called Fortune to Culture.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. I had been acting for I guess 7 years at the time. This is 3 years ago, and I was so burnt out. And I think I knew in my heart that this was the creative outlet and the thing that I wanted to do with my life. And I think that so many people that are creative, you feel it and you know it, and that's why you don't quit and you take so much. But I was meeting so much resistance, and everything was an uphill battle, and everything was so difficult that I got to the point that I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And it was more pain and suffering than joy, and I forgot why I was doing it. And so for the first time in a decade, I stopped operating out of desperation and fear, and I quit for a year. And I'm Eritrean, which is a country in Northeast Africa, and my mom's family is in Ethiopia. So I just said, I'm going to leave, and I'm going to go hang out with my family in Ethiopia, and I'm going to travel the world and take a break. And while I was doing that, I was working with a nonprofit school that was about a mile away from my family's house in Addis Ababa, which is the capital city of Ethiopia, and their meal program got pulled. And these were the poorest children in Ethiopia. They weren't eating at home. So the 2 meals they got at school were the only meals they were getting. And these are from 5 years old to 13. And when I was there, I noticed things like, 5-year-old young girl eating a fourth of her meal and wrapping up the rest to take home so that her mother and father could eat. So the idea that wasn't even a possibility anymore broke my heart. And the founder came to me and was completely exasperated and simply said, I can't educate hungry children. So this whole program falls apart. And the reason that I believed in that program so much is because coming from a developing country, I think aid is such a beautiful thing, but breaking the cycle of poverty is so much more important. So instead of just helping someone, teaching them how to help themselves and their children and their whole family. So I thought, we're good, everyone's okay. I'm from Los Angeles, and I know people that can afford to help this. So I came back with a mission, and nobody gave me any money. And to the point where I was begging friends, and they wouldn't call me back to go to dinner. I was like, I don't want money, I just want wine. And they're like, we don't believe you, we're not gonna go and hang out with you. But I was getting, one-time donations, and it was difficult to even get those. And so through a series of events, a girlfriend of mine had called and asked for this necklace I made her, because I found jewelry very relaxing. It was something I did with my headphones and a creative outlet. And her best friend had liked it and wanted it for her birthday. And I said, I'll give it to you, but if it's okay, I'm going to charge you $30, and it's going to give 65 meals to one child. Is that okay? She said, yeah. So I wrote a little note, and I said, happy birthday. This necklace is going to give 65 meals to a child in kindergarten, and I hope that this touches your heart. I put it in a little bag, and in that moment I thought, maybe I can sell jewelry to help fundraise, because it's the only thing I know how to make. And then, so I did that. I designed a very simple unisex bracelet that said health in Amharic, and which is Ethiopian. And within 2 months, I sold enough bracelets to feed all 300 kids for a year.
Wow. Give it up for Azie. I love seeing the inspiration. Could you feel that? Like where she was inspired and it just worked. That's amazing. When I first met you, you told me about what your organization did, and then it's also being distributed through Tom's Marketplace, and we'll get into that. But I went to Tom's and I was like, let me see this, and I got this bracelet, which I'm wearing now, and I walked in there, and on the tag, it told me where my money was going and what it was going towards. I believe it was helping an orphan get vaccines, go to the dentist, and see a doctor.
Yeah, eye exam.
And that was so inspiring to me. And then I was like, she's awesome, right? How does that sound, everybody? Does it sound really cool that you can buy a piece of jewelry that's going to help feed a kid?
Thanks.
So what does it feel like to have organizations like Tom's support what you're doing?
The funny thing is, I did last year, right before I started Jane, I did a college tour with Tom's, where we went and talked to different business schools, and I opened, and I remember thinking, I have nothing to say, because I don't know what I'm doing. And they were like, lead with that. So I kind of just was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I Google image everything, and I'm just kind of winging it as I go. But when Tom's came to me, I never, even though I went to business school, I never wanted to start a company. I had always wanted to just perform and be an artist, and I had that business mind, but I never knew how to match it to my life. I think also I'm first generation American and the only member of my family that was born in the United States. So I always knew I had a purpose bigger than like being an actor. But anyways, so I saw this need. I responded to that need. I wasn't a business. I wasn't claiming anything. I was just giving everything away. I was like, oh, I'm working and I can afford these supplies. That's my donation. And then I would just give everything away. So when Tom's came on board, I had those 2 bracelets that I talked about, and then I had a necklace that I had met this incredible woman in Ethiopia who was supporting her grandchildren, and you know, artisans and craft in developing countries is dying because it's survival. And I wanted to keep her beautiful work, so I brought it here, and we kind of were like business partners for that. So that I only had 3 pieces, and I went in, and they had this idea and this marketplace that they wanted to bring companies that didn't sell shoes or coffee, and highlight them. And they were like, bring in your paperwork and your samples. So I brought my 3 pieces, and they were like, what are your financials? And I was like, I give everything away. And they were like, what do you mean? Like, how do you do that? And I was like, I don't know. They're like, what do you do for taxes? I was like, I don't know. I just give everything away. I've never filed my taxes before. And so, I know. Well, now I have. But I was just like, oh, I raised a couple $1,000s. I just give it. So they, through a series of interviews, decided to bring me on for their holiday collection, and so I was making each piece by hand, and I got my first purchase order, and it was over 10,000 pieces of jewelry. So I went from doing it in my living room to having to find a factory, and I still gave everything away for a very long time, because that's just where my intention and my heart was. And then, but they've kind of helped me become a for-profit business, because I've always had a stigma in my mind that to keep anything was bad. And then I realized while doing Jane the Virgin and running this company, my mom actually pulled me aside and told me that I was doing worse off than the orphans I was trying to help, because I wasn't sleeping and I looked like a not kept person. But
you look good tonight, you know.
But yeah, Tom's really helped me, form a business and realize that my purpose was not just this company, but doing 2 things at the same time and kind of talking about that.
So it sounds like Tom's really helps you develop and grow the business, show you how to run the business, and then provided more opportunities and more exposure.
Yeah, there's still, now, which is crazy, because we talked about resistance with acting. I've never had such ease in doing anything in my entire life. I've had Fortune Culture for 3 years. I've never solicited one vendor or one store. Tom's is still my biggest vendor, but it's in over 200 stores all over the country. And it's only been me responding and saying, yes, what do you want me to send to your boutique? And so yeah.
I wish my business was like that. How do I get some of that juju?
I think when you are of service and it comes from love, people feel that and they vibe with you.
That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah.
Real quickly, just so I can get an understanding, does everybody know what Fortune Culture does? Does everybody know what the company does,
No.
or does she need to give a quick
Should
high
I not
level
talk for 10 minutes? So Fortune Culture is an accessory line, because there's jewelry and now bags and scarves, and that gives to various charities all over the world. I focus on causes that help bring people out of poverty, not just giving a meal, but education and vocational training. Those are important to me. I focus on women and children a lot. So I started with a nonprofit school in Ethiopia. We do school supplies, books, uniforms, meals, everything you can imagine. And then each collection's a different cause. So then I went into an orphanage in Mexico where there is no foster care system. So if a newborn baby is left on the side of the road, they have to fend for themselves. The government doesn't get involved. So I wanted to work with our orphanages there, and we do like your bracelet, medical needs for them once they're rescued, and then school again. And then I started working with the sex trafficking home for young girls in Cambodia, and it just grows. So every collection is a new cause, a new country that's close to my heart. And then within that, depending on what they need, I kind of go and ask what they need. I design based around that. And then the idea is to help them become as self-sustaining and independent as they can be.
That is amazing, right? Give it up for her and what she's doing. Can you guys see why I had both Travis and Azie here on the same evening? Because they're both real-life superheroes.
Aw.
You know what I mean? One thing that we could highlight is that you are a woman entrepreneur and a woman that started a business. Do you have any advice for the women in the crowd or on the show about starting a business?
Yeah, I think that we have the most powerful tool, which is our women's intuition and our instinct. And that's a powerful, powerful thing. Every time I haven't followed my instinct, it's always screwed me over. And whenever I look back on it, it's not to be polite as a woman or to make other people feel comfortable. It's to listen to the voice inside of you and to go with that. So if you have a purpose or a passion and you know it in your gut and you know it in your heart, to lead with that and not let what other people say you can't do or what other people think you should do taint that. And keep that really pure and the center of your focus. And I think that you're always okay if you do that as a woman or a man. Man's intuition's a thing too. Not as strong, but it's a thing.
Well, we need more women-owned businesses then,
It's
right?
true. It's true.
Okay, so you're being successful as an actress. You have a successful organization. And these are the questions I ask at the end.
Okay.
So, you started acting
Yes.
before you were done with college. If you could go back in time to that moment or to the first year when you first started and tell yourself one thing, what would that be?
Oh, man. To not be so hard on myself and to trust that the good and the bad is molding me into who I want to be. Because I always saw, I maybe didn't see fortune culture, but I saw that I was going to be of purpose, and I knew that that would always be my core and my heart. And I always wanted to be on a television series, but I was really hard on myself along the way. And every bad thing that happened, I didn't realize that was going to help form the person I'd be when I got all those things. So just to ease up on myself and not be so hard and not take every disappointment as the end of the world and realizing it's just, making me a little bit tougher and stronger for the big stuff that's coming later.
That's awesome. It's similar to what Travis said. Do you guys remember what Travis said? He said, lighten the what? No, I'm just joking. All right, everybody, lighten up.
Everything Travis said was like my answer. I was like, no, I can change it now.
Don't change, but your intuition said be yourself, right?
Yeah. I was telling you, I was listening to Justin's before this, and everything he said, it was something I thought I would say too. So I was like,
you're doing it
like-minded people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's good to have this type of like-minded people in the room.
Yeah.
That's what's special about these events. Not only are, the people that we're showcasing up here special, but everybody in the crowd is special, and we're all here because we're like-minded, and we like this type of energy.
And also,
yes.
the other thing I would tell myself, I have so many things
Tell
I would
us,
tell myself
tell
if
us.
I could sit myself down, is to accept help. Yeah, I had a really hard time accepting help until like the last 6 months, to the point where I was, I don't know if I told you this, but I was getting up for work to go shoot Jane at 5 o'clock in the morning to be on set at 5:30. I would shoot till like 6 o'clock at night. I would get home, have dinner, watch mindless reality television for 30 minutes because my brain hurt. And then I would answer customer emails and vendor emails from like 7:30 until 9:30. From 9:30 to 11:30, I would design for the next collection. And from like midnight to 2, I'd study my lines for the next day. And then I'd wake up at 5 a.m. again. And I never asked for help.
Superhero!
So, yeah, ask for help.
And there was one question I wanted to ask you. With having both these things going on, like you could easily just focus on Jane the Virgin and not do, fortune culture and have a nice life and just take it easy. What is it that drives you to keep doing both?
I had this very dramatic moment. I was trying to manifest what I wanted in my life, and I felt, you always think that you're your most enlightened conscious self right now, and then you look back at that person and you're like, haha, you didn't know what you were doing. But in that moment, years ago, I had written, I want to live in Vancouver, I want to work with these people, and then I got this pilot, and I was playing Melanie Griffith's adopted daughter. Antonia Banderas was our neighbor. Tippi Hedren was my grandmother. The people that are in that are still my very close friends. And I had this amazing apartment in Vancouver, and I was walking, and it was raining, of course, which just like really helps the story. And I called my best friend, and I start crying. And I felt really ungrateful, and I didn't understand why I was so sad. And she had been a child actor, and she doesn't do it anymore, but she said something really powerful, that when you put your happiness into a thing or a job or a career and you just make that your focus, it's really sad when you get that thing and you realize that's not going to bring you joy. And so that combined with just, that was really the point that I took the break and traveled. And I remembered, my mom came to this country on a nursing scholarship. Out of 4,000 women, 3 were chosen. My mom came in 4th, and she only got to come because one of the women found out they were pregnant a week before they got here. So for me, being born in the United States was such a miracle within itself, to remind myself that my purpose was to be of service and not to necessarily just be an actor. And so when I started Fortune Culture, it was this amazing thing, but it also wasn't my passion. So I found my purpose in this thing, and then I missed acting. That was my outlet that made me feel connected to to God or to the divine or whatever it is that you pray to. So I thought, okay, I have my passion, I have my purpose. Why can't I do both things? And I think that so many, like Blake, who runs Tom's, who's an incredible person, found his passion and purpose in one thing, and I didn't have that. And so I hope to encourage people, you can have a 9-to-5 job and a wife and kids and know that you still have to work and support your family, but you can find your purpose in something else. And it doesn't have to be one thing. And so both for me are very necessary.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. And you're building a legacy. You're building a legacy, and you're changing the world, and you're helping people in other countries with opportunities they wouldn't be able to receive.
And my last thought, but one thing about Fortune Culture is each piece is a good fortune. So health, wisdom, love, protection. And when I went into Tom's, they'd asked me why I made each piece have a theme. And I thought every human, me growing up in Los Angeles and then spending half my time in Ethiopia as a child, the dichotomy of the two cultures showed me that everybody wants the same thing. We all want love, we all want health, we want to feel heard. And every single person, no matter how you go about doing it, wants to leave a legacy behind outside of just themselves. And I really believe that tying whoever is buying the piece to help someone and the person receiving it are one person, and we're all connected. And then the way to leave the legacy behind is through service. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love everything that you're doing. Last question.
Okay, last one.
What's your formula to success? What would you say that is?
My formula to success would be empathy. Whenever I feel disconnected from anything or anyone, I just approach it with love and empathy and compassion. And that always just kind of recenters me to where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing. So I think if you lead with empathy and love and compassion, that's the formula to do whatever you want in the best way of your purpose. Yeah?
That's amazing. I couldn't even... I love it. Empathy. That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
New poem.
She's inspiring you to write a new poem.
I constantly try to inspire you to write a poem about me. One day.
You got to wait for your birthday. Sean is an expert at birthday poems. Ah, there it is. I love your soul. I love your heart. I love where your position is in life and what you're doing in the world. So everybody, give it up for Azie. Thank you so much for coming out.